beautiful, what's beautiful, is an important part of the practice. But you wouldn't realize it if you read most translations of the Buddha's teachings. Because the word for beautiful commonly gets translated as good. And good is good. Luckily, it's good. But it's not necessarily inspiring. It doesn't necessarily touch something inside that maybe beautiful, touches. And so one of the common expressions about the Dharma that the Buddha said and has been said down through the ages is the Dharma is, it's good in the beginning, it's good in the middle, it's good in the end. That's good. Or you can translate it, the Dharma is beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, beautiful at the end. What a difference it makes. So the word that I'm translating as beautiful is kalyāṇa. And most people in our scene recognize the word as kalyāṇamitta. And there again, they use that word good in translating it. There it's called good spiritual friend. And what would it be like if it was beautiful spiritual friend? So we have these kalyana-mitta groups that gather together to meet and talk about the Dharma. They're called kalyana-mitta groups. Good spiritual friend groups. That's good. But what if it was beautiful spiritual friends? I wonder how you would show up to a group like that if you had to show up beautiful. Not with the clothes you're wearing necessarily, but what do you have to bring? What do you bring with you in your heart, in your inner life? If you bring your beauty with you, you are beautiful. It's there. One of the really wonderful aspects of this practice, if you're lucky enough to become an experienced beginner like me, is I didn't know this was possible. There's so many unexpected revelations that happen in this practice as we do it. Like, what? Oh, wow. That's cool. And that is, I see people as beautiful. It's remarkable. I just in love with people because everyone's beautiful. And maybe there's a limit, but but I can even see mean people as beautiful if I look past their meanness. I try not to be naive about that, but to see people as beautiful. So that was a surprise. When it first started happening, I really wondered, is that okay? So kalyana-mitta, and sort of translated as, so that in that good spiritual friend, the kalyana is what's being translated as good spiritual, even though there's no really obvious word for spirit, translate spiritual into Pali. Maybe the Dharma is what's we translate as spiritual, I don't know. But anyway, that's just an interpretive translation. But the first dictionary definition in a whole bunch of Indian dictionaries, Pali and Sanskrit, first definition, kalyana is beautiful. Another definition is virtuous. Another translation in the dictionaries is excellent. An excellent friend. friends like that, that have such spiritual beauty, inner beauty, beauty of virtue, is a real gift of a lifetime. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing if you can be a friend, a beautiful friend for anyone, even strangers. What would it look like if it was beauty, it was the reference point? I like the word beauty a lot for the inner heart, the life, because it's not moralistic. There's other places in the teachings of the Buddha where English translations end up with the expressions good and bad karma. So you better be good. And it turns out there also at times the word for good is kalyāṇa. And what if instead of saying good and bad karma, we say beautiful and bad? I don't think we want to say beautiful and ugly. That doesn't, beautiful and not so beautiful. Anyway, beautiful karma. Like, let's make beautiful karma together. And that has a whole different feeling than saying, let's do good karma. Go out there and do some good karma. I don't know, that's good. Maybe you would, it's always good, right? But it does lend itself to it being moralistic, good and bad. But beautiful, I think it's a little protection from moralism, like being really kind of puritanical or something. It's beautiful. It's just like, it's a whole different feeling. It inspires me more than, let's go out and be moral. That's good. We should. But beautiful. And maybe I hope it comes to the same thing, but it has a whole different source within us. And so the Buddha talked about, there was this story where Ananda, the Buddha's disciple, comes to the Buddha and he says, I think the whole of the spiritual life, the whole of the holy life is friendship or beautiful friends, good spiritual friends, good friends. And the Buddha says, no, don't say that. The whole of this holy life is kalyāṇamitta. So it's usually understood in a wonderfully inspiring way that the whole of the spiritual life is having good spiritual friendships. And I'm very inspired by that idea. It's really meaningful, and we're in community together. We're not, independent contractors. In this life, we're all in it together in a very important and profound way. And but often the translation of this is the Buddha is actually changing the frame of reference from people being your friends to saying that all of the spiritual life is friendship with what is beautiful. And yes, a lot of this practice is discovering what is beautiful and being friends with it, being connected to it, let it be your companion, accompany you through your life. And there's a lot of beauty inside that the Buddha never said, let go of it. Many people associate Buddhism with letting go. Isn't it kind of a little bit true? A little bit, occasionally. Like these party-pooping Buddhists. Let go, let go. And then there's these famous stories that meditation practitioners will come to teachers like me, and they'll have this great experience, wonderful, and the teacher looks at them and one more thing to let go of. there's some wisdom to saying that occasionally. Occasionally, definitely. So if the teacher says that to you, maybe give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they know you better than you know yourself. But so anybody, it's also a party pooping kind of way thing to say. And but the Buddha never said, let go of what's beautiful. What he did say was, let it grow. Let it become abundant, have an abundance of these good qualities. Thrive in them. What an amazing thing that he said that. Is that okay as Buddhists? To be filled and have an abundance and have some inner wonderfulness? It's actually the case. That's kind of the deal. That's what we're kind of moving towards. And sometimes it's important to know that, because some people occasionally, maybe accidentally, sometimes for you, you might have a negativity bias. And so we tend to focus on that side of life. And sometimes that accidental negativity bias is directed towards ourselves. And that kind of hurts. And if that's what's emphasized, guess what can become abundant? Abundantly negative. And it's been said, one of the leading causes of depression is rumination. Usually rumination that's focusing on what's, this negativity bias. But to appreciate there's this beauty, and we can learn to recognize it and make room for it and allow for it. And so there's a lot of beautiful things. And we've offered kind of 8 as kind of the theme for the retreat. Compassion and the 7 factors of awakening, or 7 factors of compassion. So these are considered really beautiful states, really beautiful qualities that we have inside. Compassion, for sure. Mindfulness, investigation, energy, joy, tranquility, samadhi, and equanimity. And it's often said that of all those more beautiful states, equanimity is actually the most beautiful. It's a little hard to understand, because it's kind of easy to think of equanimity as kind of like being, kind of flat or, aloof, or, but it's actually in the heart of equanimity. It's just so beautiful and sweet. It's like, like looking into a beautiful crystal or 100% clear water. So these have been talked about this retreat, and these can become your beautiful friends. Stay close to these. Invite them to accompany you through your life. And there's different ways of doing this. One way is simply to pick one of them for a day or a week. Maybe, make a sticky note and put it on your shirt, or with that name of one of those factors. Tattoo it on the back of your hand. Or something, just so you keep referring back to it. You don't necessarily have to recognize it or find it, but there's something very significant when we refer back to it over and over again. Oh, joy. There was a Thai monk named Ajahn Jumyen who used to come and teach at Spirit Rock, and he was a character. Very, in some ways, very unmonk-like. In that, monks are supposed to renounce things, right? Be a life of poverty, kind of. he would show up. He had he looked kind of big, like a big man. But underneath his robes, he had strapped onto his body or hanging from his neck all these gold Buddhas and gold things. And apparently it was so strange that, when he went to the airport, they just let him in through. Anyway, he was teaching down in the lower meditation hall when we had it down there, in what's now the meadow. And apparently all these people came to hear him. He was going to do a day long here. And they were all sitting meditating kind of seriously. Serious meditators are a little bit of a risk to the world. And so they were sitting there. And he came in through the back of the hall. And he didn't know a lot of English, but he knew a little bit. And so he just started saying out loud in a big voice, happy, happy, happy. So just say joy to yourself through the day. Even if you're miserable, say joy. Tranquility, calm, mindfulness, investigation, compassion. And if you want to get extra credit, you can do the other Brahmaviharas. And what's nice about that is then you end up with, 11 wonderful qualities to live with. And but to let them be your companions. This means consciously, intentionally doing so, not waiting until they happen to show themselves to you, but make them kind of companions. I have no idea what that means for you to be companioned by these qualities, but minimum, just remind yourself throughout the day of particular quality. Make it to the quality of the week, the quality of the day. Or, have an alarm go off every hour and just go through them. Like 7 a.m. is mindfulness, 8 a.m. is investigation. Go through the day and just be reminded of these qualities. And maybe be quiet for a little bit and see if you can touch into it. Maybe your friends ask you, how are you? What's going on? What's up? Especially if they say, what's up? You say, oh, equanimity. It's what I'm thinking about this hour. And then you have a conversation about equanimity, and maybe you have to defend yourself. They'll say, you don't look equanimous. When I was a newish parent, I had a son who was very high-spirited, energetic, maybe pushing limits. And one day, I don't know how old he was, 4 or something, I thought I was being a really wise, caring, appropriate kind of parental intervention. And I said to him, if you continue what you're doing, I'm going to be angry. And he cocked his head to the side and looked at me and he said, Dad, you're already angry. and I wasn't angry anymore. So anyway, what's up? Equanimity. You don't look very equanimous. So that you can be creative, you can have fun with this. Do something, but the idea is to intentionally, consciously be companioned by these beautiful friends. Choose to have them nearby. And the first one, mindfulness. Sometimes people have asked me, when should I be mindful? So sometimes, more often, it's like, how do you be mindful? But then sometimes, like, when should you be mindful? Whenever it's the best option. If you have a better option, do it. But if it's not a better option, be mindful. And let mindfulness be something beautiful. Let that be your kind of quest, your challenge. Because sometimes when I've practiced mindfulness, maybe occasionally some of you accidentally also, your mindfulness practice has not been beautiful. Maybe you've been striving, maybe you've been aversive. If I can just be mindful, I can just blast this out of existence. And I've done that, zero in and that's not beautiful. It's okay to want some things that are not beautiful to go away, but can you have them go away beautifully? It is possible, because often what is not beautiful is there because of we're relating to something in unbeautiful ways. And if we start relating in ways that we enjoy, it feels good, it feels inspiring to us, then, the source, the food for what is not beautiful begins to evaporate. And if your Buddhism is only about just be mindful, only about letting go, you might not be benefiting from all that this Buddhist practice can point you to or support you to have. But if you ask the question, how do I relate to this in a way that's nourishing for me, nourishing for others? How do I relate to this so that I feel like I'm a better person at the end of it? How do I relate to what's happening and what I'm doing in this life so that I only have to do it once? So, the 7 factors of awakening: compassion, loving kindness, sympathetic joy, equanimity. You notice equanimity is in both lists? These are found in you. There's a lot of treasure to be found inside of you. It tends to be covered over by reactivity. It tends to be covered over by all the different forms of reactivity that we don't even know are reactivity anymore, because they become second nature and just feel like this is who I am. But if we can kind of keep looking for where's the peace, where's the calm, where's the subtleness, where's the composure of being here, where's the beautiful, with time you'll start seeing that the parts of your personality that don't need to be there because actually they're not inherent to your personality. They're learned, they're come out of the reactive mode of life over a lifetime. That these begin to soften and become thinner and have cracks in them. And when there's cracks, you'll see through them. And I'm confident you'll discover that you're more beautiful than you ever could have imagined. Please don't be the one who tells you you're anything less than beautiful. Don't be that one. Trust that you're beautiful and discover how.